Traveling to Consciousness, exploring spiritual journeys to find answers in uncertainty.
And Jesus said, because the knowledge of the secrets of the kingdom of heaven has been given to you, but not to them. Whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken away from them. What is up, conscious monkeys? Welcome back to another episode of Traveling to Consciousness. As always, I'm your host, Clayton Cuteri, and hopefully you enjoyed our little intro today, trying to switch it up a bit. But I felt like it was a very powerful one for the exact subject matter that we are going to be talking about today, which is momentum. Momentum is a very, very powerful force. You can see this in so many different aspects of life. You can see it in spiritual aspects. You can see it from a physics aspects, which we'll talk about a bit. You can see it from a financial aspect. This is like whenever you deposit money and you have some compounding interest and it just slowly grows and it becomes faster and faster. So we're going to jump into all of this today because it is the answer, in my opinion, to one of the, I feel like, most important questions I feel like I've ever asked. So let's start off with the question, right? The question that I came up with was along this line. So I remember whenever I was in India and there was like moments of absolute peace that came over me. There was moments of complete serenity, happiness, joy. But then things would happen and I'd become angry or upset or annoyed. And I couldn't figure out why, if happiness is available to me, if peace is available to me, if these emotions are always available to me and always available to you, then why was I not picking these emotions in every single moment of life? And I think that's a question that everyone should ask themselves, right? Is if being calm is always an option, then why are there times where I'm stressed or I'm angry or I'm afraid? And the answer comes to momentum. So if we look at this, let's start off from a physics perspective, right? Hopefully that might help out here, right? Momentum, as defined in physics, is mass times velocity. So if you have a very massive object, even if it's moving very slow, it has a lot of momentum. If you have a small object, but it's moving very fast, it has a lot of momentum. So the larger or faster that something is, the harder it becomes to stop. And then this touches on Newton's first law of physics, which is that if objects are in motion, they tend to stay in motion unless acted upon by an external force. And so where this becomes very positive when we're talking about emotions or we're talking about things that you're trying to accomplish in life is that when you're moving slowly or forward or towards a goal, whether that's a financial goal, whether that's a internal goal, when you're moving towards that goal, moving forward, becoming more calm, becoming wealthier, even slowly, it's easier to keep going. But the hardest part that people have is making that start because you have no momentum. You have zero velocity. Doesn't matter how big your snowball is. If you can't get it moving, it's not going to move at all. On top of this, people are going in the opposite direction. People are doing things that make them more in debt, are making them more stressed, more afraid. They're believing certain ways of life that have been taught and programmed. And this is why we have to upgrade our education system. But they're being taught and programmed ideas that are incongruent with a happy, calm, peaceful life. So if you're not even addressing the foundation of your ideas and beliefs, then you're going to keep creating this momentum in the opposite direction, because you don't stay still. You can sit in a room, but your mind's still going to be running. It's still going to be moving. The question is in what direction is it moving? Is it moving towards peace? Is it moving towards fear? Or is it moving towards calmness? Is it moving towards the desired reality that you're looking for? And so you need to first become aware of momentum to realize that these energies are going in a certain direction, a direction maybe that you don't want them to go. You probably prefer them to go to a different direction. And this is why, essentially, I wanted to start this off with a quote from Jesus about momentum, about understanding how if you can just get that little bit to start going in the right direction. You know, I've seen this in regards to fitness. I remember reading or hearing about people who would like just get their clients to just show up at the gym. Like that was considered a win. You know, if you're, let's say, severely overweight, you've never been to the gym before, and you need to lose, let's say, 200 pounds, everyone wants to just jump in, get in the gym, start lifting and working out. But if you start slow, if you start off with just, hey, just meet me at the gym. We'll meet there for 10 minutes and then you can leave. If you start slow, you're building these incremental steps, no matter how tiny they are, very tiny, small steps towards the reality that you desire, which is going to the gym. And so the problem is people have the hardest time just starting that initial little inertia thing, starting that little bit of a momentum. And just like a snowball being pushed down a hill, it becomes bigger, it becomes faster, the more energy you give to this certain reality that you desire. And so it's capable and it's accessible in so many different aspects of life. You have access to it from a spiritual perspective, which I think can be a little bit more difficult. But even just that is different programming. If you keep saying things are difficult, you're creating momentum in the direction of things have to be difficult. Being peaceful, it has to be difficult, according to you, according to whoever espouses that philosophy. Making money is difficult. You're creating momentum in that direction with every single word that you're uttering. So you have to become very self-aware, very mindful, very conscious of your actions, of what you're doing. Because you'll start creating momentum in directions you don't actually want to be creating momentum. And there's another beautiful aspect of this, and that's to not be too hard on yourself. Because if you got to realize like where you're at today is a byproduct of the past however many years of your life. And so you've been creating momentum to lead you to right where you are. So it's going to take time to shift or to bend, to stop or to move that momentum. So you have to find a way. You have to have a goal, right? You have to have a target that you're aiming for. Start there. And then ask yourself, what's something I could do? What's the smallest thing that I could do to move closer to that target? You could even look at it of cleaning your room, right? What is one thing that you can clean in the room today? Don't worry about the entire room, because the entire room might be a mess, and it might be a mess for a while. But just pick one thing in the entire room that you could move or get out or throw away. And that's how you start building momentum. You just have to start. It's the easiest, but also the most difficult part of building momentum. And then it just takes off. I mean, I think financially, this is probably the spot that most people see it. Whenever you start looking at people who are high net worth earners, it usually takes them like 20, maybe it takes 10 years to get their first million. another 10 years to get their first billion. And then after that, within the next, 10 years, they're at like 20 billion. I'm pulling numbers off the top of my head, and maybe I should use more factual numbers here. But the point that I'm trying to make is that once it starts moving in that direction, you start leveraging power. You start becoming more powerful with the less that you do. So it's like an exponential curve. You're working so hard at this thing, time every day, day. And then you're not really seeing the energies rise. And then they'll hit a certain point where it just starts going exponential. Assuming you keep doing those things. I think that's another big thing that happens. And a book that's coming to mind is maybe like 7 Atomic Habits. And I believe there's another one. Maybe it was a Ryan Holiday book. But there are many books and literature out there that talks about how just you're the byproduct of everything you do. And what you're doing is you're building momentum in the direction of these energies, in the direction of these things. And I mean, without having the internet or anything, Jesus even talked about this whenever, 2,000 years ago, whatever it was. So, we got to really, if you want to create the life you desire, you got to start the energy in that direction. I mean, for me, I can talk personally, right? Getting into politics, I have to create momentum in that direction. I have to start trying to make that a reality. I have to start pushing things that way. Start running for office, start campaigning, start talking about it. Because it's not going to happen overnight. Of course not. I don't have any momentum. I don't have any energy in that direction. But by learning more, by doing more let me back up here too. By doing something every single day since November. Yeah, since November. Wow. So what are we at here? Probably 10, 11 months, something like that. Within 10 months of doing something every single day for politics, I have received my first award. As you know, I mean, you should know. So if you're listening to this on Monday, Tuesday, I'm going to Sri Lanka to get an award for social activism. And I'm meeting the presidents of Sri Lanka, the president of Maldives, and probably some other dignitaries from that area. I know there's like a couple models and cricket players and ministers. And so it's like a hodgepodge of very affluent people. And I say this to highlight that you just do something every single day. That's the hard part. It's just doing it every single day. So that's where it comes into like, it's got to be something you love. And even deeper than that, I truly believe, at least this is what I can say from my experience, is there has to be an underlying motive of why you're doing this thing. And I truly feel that that's why Elon Musk, for instance, is one of the richest men in the world, because he, whether or not you agree with him politically, whatever, try to put that to the side. He has this underlying belief that we have to become an interplanetary species. Interstellar at one point, but we got to be interplanetary first. He believes we have to be an interplanetary species if we want to keep the species going. Now, I have my own little squirrels about that, and I think, there's, some things good, some things off, yada, yada, yada. But the important thing that you have to know is that he has the underlying belief, the foundational belief that is motivating him to do the same thing every single day. Now, what you see now is he's probably not doing the same exact thing every single day, but he's willing to do what needs to be done to get to that future. Whether it's learning about electric cars, whether it's learning about rocket engines, whatever it is, he keeps doing those fundamental things to get to the next stage. For myself, I see it as world peace. You have to have, and the bigger that mission is, the bigger, the most, and hopefully I'm coming across as, humble with this. I'm trying to articulate the way that I've seen this for so long, for myself, at least, and what I see when I look at, other extremely successful people, is the stronger that foundational piece is, the further it's going to carry you. So for example, you could have like this idea that, you want to become a billionaire, which there's nothing wrong with that. Do that, be that if that's what you want to be. But the issue you'll run into, and I think this is probably what happens, is once you become a billionaire, you don't know where you would want to go with that. You'll be like, okay, cool, I became a billionaire. Like now, okay, fine, 10 billion. Okay, now 100 billion. Maybe that's what you want to do. If you absolutely love money, I say go for it. Don't let me stop you. But the point that I'm trying to make is that the numbers, they're not like an emotional driver. It's more physical. It's more material, which again, there's nothing wrong with that. And maybe I'm projecting a little bit of my own desires into this, which is the foundational piece of creating world peace, of stopping nuclear war. To me, that is such a strong driving force that it allows me to do all these things day to day. Every day. So here's another example. I'll give you like a little tool that I use. I have a master to-do list. So on that master to-do list, I call it like my 5-minute checklist, is do at least everything on here for 5 minutes. At least 5 minutes. And it's crazy because sometimes it'll be 5 minutes. Most of the time, honestly, it's 5 minutes. But those days, whenever it clicks and I start working on one of these things for like 4 or 5 hours, like things just open up very quickly. So like for me, I'm not going to read you all of these because I have 26 items on here. But it's things like my 3D construction studio, the American Congress Party, my skincare brand, this podcast, creating content, engaging on TikTok, engaging on IG, looking at some like visualization type stuff, engaging on X, YouTube, LinkedIn, Amara, coding for Amara, doing some writing. I'm writing a book right now, so little teaser on that. Sign up in the newsletter if you want to get notified. And then even some fun stuff, like you need to stay healthy. So like working out for me, lifting, jujitsu. So like, even if it's not going to the gym, just watching jujitsu videos is extremely helpful because then it gets my mind like kind of thinking about it. It keeps the energy there. It keeps me connected to the jujitsu energy. Study the U.S. Constitution. Again, there's a whole list of things here. And my whole point is that you just have to get the momentum going. Don't start off with 26. Start off with 5. Maybe there's 5 things you want to do. Maybe you have your own brand that you want to start creating. Just state that you want to create it and then take the steps. You can spend the first 5 days, the first week even, making a name. Okay? Do you have a name for this brand? Right? And just take 5 minutes for every day for the next week trying to think of a good name for this brand. And it seems so small, but you have to realize that it compounds. And this is where that compound comes in, is that the more that the longer you do it for, the more it'll compound. And then you can just play into the exponential curve that is going to happen with all of these things. Those who have some, all shall be given. Those who have none, all shall be taken. I mean, it's literally just momentum. If you have nothing, you're going to keep going that direction until you change something. And my suggestion is, this is a big suggestion, at least learn from maybe one of my mistakes. I don't know. We'll come back to that. But I think there's probably a proclivity. There's a proclivity that one may think, I am already busy enough. I need to take things away. I would say only take away things that you could deem as being unhealthy. If it's drinking too much, if it's partying too much, take those away. But other than that, try to just add stuff. And here's the thing, because I know this, I've experienced this many a times. There will be tension there. You will feel tight. You will feel kind of like a closing feeling, like stress a little bit. But trust me when I say that you can handle it. You'll figure out a way to make it work. It's literally 5 minutes a day. I'm telling you, you can do it. There is enough time in the day. So leverage this momentum into your life. I truly think that this is probably one of the most powerful indigo education, spiritual knowledge that you could be taught about. And of course, our education system does not teach it at all. At all. I mean, look, even if you're in Bible school, I mean, and I can only speak for myself, I don't know all of them, but even if you're studying the Bible, no one teaches it at this level. And by this level, I don't even think it's like that high of a level. It seems very basic to me, but like nobody discusses like how you can completely transform your life just by doing this. Completely transform. Within a year, you won't even know who you are. I've been leveraging this for about a year, and I can't believe all of the things that I've created, the number of people that are working for me right now, the vision. It's like you somehow start to see more of that vision coming in, but you have to start. It's like, how do you articulate this? This is the best way that I can articulate it. Let's pick one of my businesses. We'll use my skincare brand, Aurora, right? You get the inkling that you want to create a high luxury skincare brand. But there's so many steps, and here's where people hurt themselves. They think there's so many steps to making it happen. You have to do this, you have to do that, there's this, there's that, there's this, there's that. You have to get the branding, you have to get the bottle, you have to get the website, you have to get the right formula, you have to get the right R&D. How are you going to package it? How are you going to market it? And then people will stop. They won't even pursue it. But what I've noticed with all these little things is by starting it slowly and for instance, Aurora, for Aurora, and this goes back to my thing earlier, the name took, I think, like 4 days for me to figure out. And once it clicked. But the point I'm trying to make is that you have to influence the energy to come to you. Oh, I kind of just skipped around there. I apologize about that. Let me back it up a little bit here. Let me back it up. Let me think about how to articulate this. What am I trying to say? Okay, so look at it like this. Imagine that there's an energy that exists somewhere in the ether. Okay, and this might sound a little woo-woo, so put on your seatbelts here for a second. Try to stick with me here. This is just how I've experienced it and how I see it. I'm not saying that this is actually what's happening, although it might be. I don't know. But just sit with me here for a second. So think like this. Think that the energy of high value, luxury, top of the line skincare products, that energy, that brand exists in the ether. And its one goal in life, amongst many, is for it to manifest itself into the physical reality. Imagine it wants that. Imagine you're that thing. It's essentially just an idea at this point. Now, I, Clayton, in my physical being, I can influence that energy to come to me, and I'll create it in this reality. Now, if you're that energy, if you're that luxury high-end skincare brand, you have to be careful who you give your energy to, right? You can't just go around making everybody the high-value luxury brand. You'll spend yourself too short. Maybe people won't even start using you, won't even finish. You don't know, right? So what I feel like happens, I don't know if this is actually how it happens whenever you get to like higher levels of this. I'd be interested to know, and maybe we'll have a podcast on it in 30 years. But what it seems to me is that it's looking for candidates. That energy is looking for candidates to manifest itself. So me, by making a name, the energy is like, okay, I'll give you a little bit more information. Okay, now I started researching. I started putting together a business plan. It gives you a little bit more information. Okay, I have a business plan put together. Now I'm going to start looking into finding do some R&D on the product. Oh, here's someone who does the R&D. So it's like a give and take situation with the energies. Sometimes they're there for you and then you can use them. And then sometimes they'll kind of pull away. But the important thing is that you have to keep interacting with them. And I know that can sound like crazy, and maybe it does, but I'm just trying to articulate how all of these energies have interacted with me, because you know, it's like not knowing what the end goal is going to look like, but you have to take that next step, right? And I think that's probably how people have explained in the past is like, well, you know, if you're going to have a podcast, you got to get a microphone. It's like, well, what's your podcast going to be about? You know, I'm kind of losing my explanation, but hopefully that was like a good explanation of like the way these things work, right? I've noticed this with the content creation business, our digital marketing business. I've noticed it with that. I've noticed this with American Congress Party. You have to establish the nonprofit. Okay, it's established. All right, we'll send you people. Oh, wow, people are here. Now I run for Congress. Oh, you're running for Congress. Okay, we'll send you more people. We'll send you more information. We'll send you more of this. Oh, okay, you're still doing it? Now it's influencing other people to say, hey, wow, we see American Congress Party is picking up steam. It's like becoming more popular. Let's get them, into Sri Lanka. You know, let's talk to them. Let's have those people. Let's meet them. And my point is that it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. This is momentum. This is how that energy works. So hopefully, I feel like we covered a lot here. Hopefully this made just a little bit of sense. A little bit of sense. That's all I guess I can really ask for. I know that was kind of a lot. It's kind of supposed to be, but at the same time, I thought it was good. I think it was good. I think we kind of covered everything pretty well there. Momentum. Start. Have a strong why. Start. And your life will be so much different in less than a year. It'll be less than a year. I started seeing things shift in about 4 months, like 3 to 4 months. Yeah, and remember, it's going to take time, like for that snowball effect to occur. But once it does, get ready and hang on. So let me know if you have any questions. Shoot me a message, shoot me a DM. I'd be happy to interact with you guys on Instagram, on X, at Clayton Cuteri. And without a doubt, send this to someone. That's actually the biggest call to action I could possibly ask for you guys is if you've learned anything from this, if you feel like momentum is going to change your life, or this was a good explanation of momentum, please share it. I think that's the best way that podcasts get around. So with all that being said, I appreciate you guys. I enjoyed our conversation today. And in case you didn't enjoy our conversation today, then we can talk about it whenever we see each other in the 6th dimension.